cave remained quiet for several moments after the agreement was made. Outside, the mountain winds rolled softly through the forests of Eidolon Reach, while distant waterfalls echoed across the cliffs below. Inside, the future of entire star systems had just changed. Pines leaned back heavily in his chair, staring at the Emperor. So, just to clarify, he pointed around the cave vaguely. We are now secretly plotting against one of the most powerful dynasties in human space. The Emperor nodded calmly. Correct? Pines sighed deeply. All right. Lyra folded her arms while watching the holographic projections slowly disappear back into the table systems. Kenny remained standing near the balcony edge overlooking the wilderness. The floating daggers beside him moved lazily now, calmer, thinking. The Emperor studied him carefully. You already have a starting point. Kenny glanced back slightly. Caius Vale activated one final projection. Several frontier systems appeared highlighted along the outer sectors controlled by House Rain. Then one world pulsed brighter than the others. Vayer Talus. Lyra narrowed her eyes. What is that? Lyra's father answered quietly. The supply world. The projection zoomed inward, revealing industrial colonies, mining sectors, and military cargo routes. Most of House Rain's hidden operations moved through there. Pines frowned. So why not expose it already? The Emperor answered honestly. Because suspicion is not enough. Another projection appeared, encrypted shipments, missing civilians, unregistered prison sectors. But if someone gained undeniable proof from inside Vayer Talus itself, Kenny studied the world silently. The Emperor continued. House Rain built their empire carefully. A pause. So we dismantle it carefully. The cave quieted again. Then finally Kenny spoke. Not yet. Everyone looked toward him. Kenny turned fully now. If we move immediately, they will know. The floating dagger beside him slowly rotated through the air. My father already suspects something after the ceremony. The Emperor nodded slightly. Kenny walked slowly around the table while speaking. We moved slowly. Pines listened carefully now. Drops of water, Kenny continued quietly. Not floods. The mountain wind moved softly through the cave behind him. We let time weaken them first. Lyra understood immediately. Make them comfortable again. Kenny nodded once. Make them believe I accepted independence. The Emperor almost smiled slightly. Patience. Kenny looked directly at him. Exactly. For several long moments, Caius Vale remained silent. Then finally, he nodded. Agreed. Pines blinked. That is somehow the most terrifying strategy discussion I have ever witnessed. Lyra's father slowly deactivated the final projections. Good. Pines frowned. What do you mean good? Because reckless people die first. Pines looked mildly offended. I survived through panic and bad decisions. Lyra rolled her eyes. The tension inside the cave eased slightly after that. Not because the danger disappeared, because now everyone understood the shape of it. The Emperor eventually stood from the stone table, then unexpectedly, he reached inside his coat and removed a small silver data cylinder. Kenny narrowed his eyes slightly. The gift. Caius Vale nodded once, a proper one this time. Pines immediately pointed toward the cylinder. If that explodes, I am haunting everyone here. The Emperor ignored him completely and handed the cylinder toward Kenny. Inside the device, dozens of biological scans activated instantly. Mist runners, stormbacks, dawn fruit. Kenny looked surprised for the first time in the entire meeting. The Emperor noticed immediately. You registered the planet quickly. Kenny studied the information carefully. These scans came from Imperial Science Divisions. Lyra stepped closer, looking over the data. What is this? The Emperor folded his hands behind his back calmly. Your dawn fruit. The holographic display zoomed inward, showing the berry's unique molecular structure. You already discovered its neural enhancement effects. Kenny nodded once. It improves memory and focus. Yes. The Emperor activated another layer of scans, but there is more. The projections shifted again, showing mist runners consuming dawn fruit beneath forest canopies. Then something strange happened. The normally aggressive creatures became calm, responsive, connected. Lyra blinked. No way. The Emperor looked almost amused now. Dawn fruit contains a naturally occurring empathic compound. Pines stared at the hologram. You are telling me the magic therapy berries are also friendship berries? Lyra laughed despite herself. Kenny continued studying the scans. The fruit allows taming. More than taming, Lyra's father corrected calmly. The hologram displayed neural activity patterns between human handlers and the native creatures. Bond synchronization. Pine slowly looked upward. Brother, your planet has telepathic battle lemurs. The Emperor nodded once. The Mist Runners respond strongest. Additional scans appeared. Enhanced reflex response. Minor sensory sharing, emotional imprinting. Kenny's expression sharpened slightly. And the Stormbacks? The Emperor activated another file. The massive reptilian creatures appeared crossing river valleys during storms. The fruit also increases their electrical output temporarily. Lyra stared at the projection. So the wildlife itself can be weaponized. The Emperor answered calmly. Or protected. That answer mattered. Kenny noticed it too. The Emperor finally stepped back slightly. A token of good faith. The cave quieted. Then unexpectedly Pines looked toward Kenny excitedly. We are absolutely testing this immediately. Lyra smirked. I was thinking the same thing. The Emperor almost smiled again. Then finally he and Lyra's father turned toward the cave entrance. The meeting had ended. For now. Before leaving, Caius Vale paused beside Kenny one final time. You were right earlier. Kenny looked toward him. The future changes slowly. The Emperor glanced toward the forests of Eidolon Reach stretching endlessly beneath twin suns. But sometimes, a pause. The first drop of water matters more than the flood itself. Then he left. The Imperial transport eventually disappeared back into the clouds above the mountains while the cave settled into silence once more. Pines watched the ship vanish overhead. Still not fully convinced he isn't secretly terrifying. He is terrifying, Lyra replied. Fair point. Kenny remained near the cliff edge holding the silver data cylinder while mountain wind rolled softly through the forests below. Then Pines clapped his hands together loudly. Right. Lyra already knew. We are not waiting, are we? Absolutely not. Pines pointed dramatically toward the forests. We are going to go tame wizard lemurs. An hour later, the three moved carefully through the northern forest regions beneath the cliffs surrounding Kenny's home. Sunlight filtered through massive silver leaf trees while glowing insects drifted lazily above streams running through moss-covered stone. The forests of Eidolon Reach felt ancient, untouched. Mist runners moved somewhere overhead between the branches, though most remained too fast to fully track. Pines carried several dawnfruit berries inside a small satchel while constantly looking upward nervously. If one of these things steals my face, I blame both of you. Lyra laughed softly. They are smaller than you expected. That part was true. The mist runners resembled long-limbed lemurs mixed with foxes, though their glowing eyes and phase-shifting abilities made them feel far stranger up close. One finally appeared watching them from a nearby branch. Silver-black fur, bright blue eyes, long tail wrapped around the tree limb. The creature tilted its head curiously, then phased instantly. Pines nearly screamed. It teleported. It phased, Kenny corrected calmly. That is somehow worse. Kenny slowly crouched near the forest floor and placed one dawnfruit berry down carefully. The Mistrunner reappeared several meters away, watching silently. Then another, and another. 3 total now, Lyra whispered quietly. They are intelligent. The first creature slowly approached the berry, cautious, curious. It sniffed the fruit once before eating it carefully. Then the forest changed, not visually, emotionally. The creature's posture softened instantly. Its glowing eyes focused directly on Kenny now. The Mistrunner slowly approached him without fear. Pines stared in disbelief. No bloody way. Kenny remained perfectly still while the creature climbed slowly onto the stone beside him, then carefully onto his shoulder. The connection felt strange immediately. Not speech, awareness, emotion. Kenny could almost sense curiosity radiating from the creature itself. The Mistrunner tilted its head slightly before curling comfortably around his shoulders. Lyra smiled softly. It chose you. Pines looked offended. Of course the assassin Space King gets the cool teleport animal. The creature suddenly phased from Kenny's shoulder onto Pine's head instead. Pines froze completely. Brother. Lyra burst out laughing. The Mistrunner chirped loudly while sitting proudly on top of Pines like a living hat. Pines slowly smiled despite himself. All right? He carefully reached upward, scratching behind the creature's ears. We are friends now. The animal made a strange clicking sound happily. Lyra crossed her arms, smiling. "What are you calling it?" Pines looked toward Kenny. Kenny studied the creature quietly for several seconds, then finally answered, "Rissel." Pines blinked once. Honestly, that weirdly suits him. Rissel chirped proudly from atop Pines' head, while the forests of Eidolon Reach moved peacefully around them beneath twin suns. And for the first time since Eclipse ended, the future almost felt hopeful.